But I want you to think about really, if you take away anything from today that I don't know is really discussed in your book at all, is that from here on out, you are your own brand. And think about what you want associated with that brand. And I mean that because whether you even run your own establishment or not, people will be hiring you later, and people will be, your name will have an association with it. And do you want that brand to be the reliable, friendly, whatever, or do you want that brand to be the flaky, sometimes grumpy, whatever? Do you want that brand to be the person who's thorough? Do you want that? And brand is built by consistency. Brand is built by consistency. Big gestures mean very, very little. A lot of people talked about having good parents in today's gratitude. And good parents are built one day at a time with very small acts. Nobody says they had great parents because they had great Christmases and they got really good presents. Never. That has nothing to do with parenting. It has nothing to do with brand building. It comes from actually just showing up every day and doing the same consistent work every day. So think about what kind of brand that you are going to build and what will be associated with you, because it will matter for the rest of your life. Yeah? And now you guys just all paused on me, which makes me think, are you still hearing me? Good, okay. You guys froze for a second, and I thought maybe I'd lost you. Okay, cool. All right, let me share my slide presentation. Feel free to raise hands and ask questions and all that good stuff. Already, Mr. Richards, please.
I've not heard from my extern. What sort of time period do you think it will be when they reach out to us? Because Miss Dane hasn't heard from Elements either.
That's really weird. Okay, they're super reliable, so I will just reach back out to them. That means Mr. Ma probably hasn't heard either.
No.
But I got very clear yeses from both of them. So I will reach out. Insurance.
Because if it doesn't work out, then we've got to come to clinic, right? That's our last.
Yes. So, but it's going to work out. Like, I mean, I can't promise anything, but my point is it's going to work out. These people have been reliable in the past, and they gave me a definite yes. They're interested. It's a go. And I suspect you're just the last thing they think about at the end of the day, right?
Sure.
So anyway, I'll reach back out to them. Miss Dang, you raised your hand.
And the mice also I haven't got the information yet. They're not keep in touch me yet.
Okay.
Contact me yet.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Pam has not contacted you yet. Okay. And Mr. Ma, I'm assuming they have not contacted you yet either.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Miss Dang. Mr. Ma?
Yes, sir.
They Elements has not contacted you yet?
Well, I don't think so.
Okay, then you'd know. It'd be the owner calling you. Okay, I'll reach out to them. And Mr. Overman, they have contacted you, right?
Yes, they have.
Cool, thank you, sir. All right. Miss Pugh, I saw you raise your hand. Are you trying to speak now? Okay. All right. All right, everybody. Let's try this in the meantime. Thank you for letting me know that, Mr. Richards. Yeah, they should have contacted you by now. But I still think it's going to happen. Okay, everybody. Business practices. Okay. So, I'm just looking at the time, too, to make sure I don't have to hop off yet. Okay. Think a little bit, by the way, I know some of this is obvious to some of you, or all of you maybe, but do be thinking about what you want out of your massage career, and it can change over time. Are you looking for flexibility? Are you looking for being your own boss, which, by the way, is not as flexible as you might think? Because you guys have lots of options when it comes to your massage career. And I would tell you that both being self-employed and both being employed have really big rewards. I've done both. Miss Everson, please. Yeah, I'm freezing on your guys' end too?
Same, yes.
Shoot. Let's see, hold on, I'm gonna I'm going to cut one of my connections and see if that
Sorry, I
helps.
meant to say yes.
Yes. Okay. How are we doing now? Well, it's too early to tell. All right, we'll see. Anyway, we will talk about different benefits and such of being your own boss or not as we get into this here. So, one of the first things they discuss is the main reasons that businesses fail. And they mention in your book about incompetence. And there's some truth to that. Like there's a lot to know about running a business, and it's not just the paperwork, but it's about really the decisions to make. And unfortunately, by the way, it's about practice. And if you haven't started 10 businesses, you're not going to be really great at starting businesses, right? It takes practice. But I actually think one of the biggest failure reasons for businesses is that people underestimate how much work being starting their own business takes. So if you are going to start a brick and mortar massage establishment, remember that you are the go-to for absolutely everything. Remember that when your therapist is late, that you've hired, you'll be jumping in and doing that massage. Remember that you'll be doing payroll late at night. Remember that you'll be responding to social media late at night. Remember all these things. And a lot of people think they're going to go into business for themselves because it's going to be easy. And it's actually very hard. It can get fairly easy once your business is successful and you can hire a manager to run a lot of stuff for you. If it becomes that successful. Sometimes they always require what we call an owner-operator, which means the owner actually has to be in the business most of the time, being the day-to-day manager. Sorry, I'm reading the side chat too. Anyway, and just be prepared for the fact that if you really want to open a massage establishment, it really requires a lot more work than you realize. So it's not just incompetence and lack of planning, all these things. It really is not being prepared for expending enough effort. There you go. Because your book did mention it. The other thing that I think causes new businesses to fail if you have a location, is people underestimate having to cover their overhead for 6 months. It is very possible, even if you are the greatest massage therapist in the world, that you won't have enough clients for 6 months to float your business. And so if you don't have 6 months rent for that business up front and the other expenses like electric and things like that, I wouldn't advise you getting a brick and mortar place, because even 6 months is a pretty quick turnaround to break even on a business. Yeah? So just be prepared for that. This is not true, by the way, if you're just going to people's homes. That is your own business too, but obviously you have almost no additional overhead from going to people's homes and doing massage. Yes, Mr. Richards.
So obviously you've got all this vast experience and you know what you're doing kind of thing. What made you not have your own establishment and just work for, like the Princess and things? What made you go that direction rather than your own place? Because obviously you're qualified enough.
I don't know that I am qualified enough. So some of it was humility in recognizing that it could still not go well. And some of it was fear. And I will be very honest with you. And as I've gotten older, I thought the fear would get less. But as I've gotten older, the startup costs for a full-blown massage place that has like 6 rooms and things like that, and covering all that stuff could be $500,000. And I don't just mean the startup costs, but the ongoing cost till it breaks even, things like that. To buy into a franchise, like Massage Envy, Elements, Hand and Stone, can often be $400,000, things like that. And so I actually had fear over taking money that I have invested right now and dumping it into a new business venture and not having it go well, to be honest with you. I do have a lot of management experience, stuff like that, but I also know, unfortunately, all the things that could go wrong. And so that's one of the reasons I haven't done it. If I was younger and knew what I know what I do now, I would do it. The other thing that's stopping me from doing it now, very, very honestly, is laziness. So it's true. Like, I think you guys notice I work very hard at my job here, but this is a very easy job because once I'm done for the day, I'm done. Nobody calls me in the middle of the night. Nothing happens. I'm not doing payroll and taxes and things like that. And there's just no end in sight. And I don't want to do that at 52 kind of thing, if that makes sense. So, yeah, just be prepared to work really hard and all that kind of stuff. Miss Clayton, I would love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, I went into this 6 years ago, and prior to that, I had always worked in corporate jobs. I had worked for franchises, on the franchisor side, but not in the franchisee role. And I thought I had a good understanding of the business, but it's crazy. I mean, for the first couple years, I literally worked probably 80 hours a week. It was just nonstop. I mean, there's still days where I work 14-hour days. And, you know, we're in business 6 years. It's just, there's so much to do. There's marketing, there's payroll, there's things that have to be fixed. There's problems with people calling out. There's customer complaints. There's payroll. It's just, it never ends. And it is not something you want to do if you don't want to work all the time. I mean, had I known what I know now,
You wouldn't have done it.
now, but 6 years ago, I wouldn't have done it. I really wouldn't have. I mean, I'm not saying I regret it because it's taught me a lot, and I enjoy the people I work, you know, our employees, and I enjoy, you know, seeing them thrive and grow and all that. But it is no easy feat.
Yeah.
And you know, we've got 1,500 members, and we see about 60 clients a day, and that's 60 opportunities for things to go wrong, you know. And then you've got people in rooms that you have no idea what they're doing, and when something happens, you have their word against the employee's word, and that makes things difficult, you know. It's just, there's things that I have to deal with that I never thought I'd have to deal with. And when I was looking at the book last night, reading the assignment, it talked about the hourly wage of an employee at a chain versus, you know, somebody doing it on their own. And I think that's somewhat misleading. And I think they're doing a disservice to people, because if you look at those numbers alone and say, oh, do I want to make $76 an hour or 21? Well, anyone with, you know, half the intelligence is going to go, I'm going to do it on my own and do the $76 an hour. But I looked at my payroll last night just for our last payroll to see what the numbers are. And our lowest paid employee massage therapist with, you know, tips and everything was making an average of 36, and our highest was making an average of 59. So you just round that up to $60. So you're talking about 60 versus 76, and then it's a hassle factor, right? That hassle factor of driving, the call outs we get, people changing their appointments, you know, the linen not being delivered. There's all these little things that come in that you know, knowing what I know now, it would be nice just to walk into a place, have everything ready, get your client, take them back, clean up your room, and go home. No calls, no, you know, dissatisfaction, no shows. They get paid if there's a no-show. We pay them. So, I mean, you don't have that in your own business. I'm not saying it can't work. It can. But I think the way the book positions it, it makes it sound like it's really easy and you're going to just be breaking in $76 an hour. My massage therapists make more per hour than I do.
Yeah.
Just to give you some context. So it makes it sound like these chains are horrible and you don't get any money. Well, you get more than I do, and I own the place. So, you know, I think, and going to school for 9 months and making that kind of money is really amazing. I mean, it's just, so I'm not saying don't go out on your own. I think a lot of our therapists do double. So they'll work at our spa and then they'll see clients, you know, go to their homes and do that on the side. And that's how they truly get profitable. But then they have the best of both worlds. But going out on your own from day one, the cost is really important too. What you said, you have to have cash flow to pay your rent. Unexpected costs come up. There's a lot. So if you go into business, do it slowly, I would say, you know, or take out a loan so you have a little extra money and don't have to worry about paying for things. You have maybe, you know, like they say you should have at least 6 to 12 months reserved in the bank. But, you know, we did cash flow analysis and business plans and all this, and we were way off. And we work in the industry. I mean, I worked at Massage Envy for 5 years, and so it's a lot.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
No, Ms. Clayton, please just don't answer if I shouldn't be asking this question, but can you also give us a rough idea of how much investment it took before you had to quit putting cash in the business? Meaning you had to buy a franchise and then you had to feed the business for a while before it. So
close to 700,000.
okay. So by the way, that's about what I was guessing she would say. Some people it's $1 million.
Yeah.
So that's the answer. And by the way, we're not trying to talk you out of doing this. There are other ways to do it, by the way. You don't have to buy into a franchise, but there's some benefits to buying into a franchise. It goes on and on and on. But yes, well said, Miss Clayton. And by the way, this is something that's hard for employees because they go, well, my spa charges $100 for a massage, but I only get $20 of that. They must be making $80, and that's just not true.
Yeah, and it's what I used to think. I mean,
Sure.
working in the franchise from, and I didn't know either. I'm like, oh God, they must rake in the dough. But we make about $3 to $4 per massage. If we didn't have a membership, we would be out of business because about 60% of our revenue comes from the membership.
Yeah.
It's like gyms. Gyms would be out of business if they waited for people to show up and work out because of all the overhead.
Right.
And when you get your paycheck from, a franchise, or they're paying whatever you pay in taxes, they're paying a percentage of that. You have to pay your Social Security, and then we have to pay that the same amount in. So payroll costs are very expensive. We pay over $1 million a year in payroll alone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I had no idea this was gonna be. It's just been very eye-opening, the expenses of running a business, and like for example, our roof leaks because our community place, they haven't fixed the roof. So every time it rains, we get leaks. We have to shut down rooms. We have to redo the ceiling. They won't cover that. Everything that is in our facility, we have to repair even if they cause the damage. We lost our insurance because we had 2 claims. So our insurance premiums went up $10,000 a year. I mean, just little things that you never think of.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you. And by the way, if you are going to open your own business, I recommend you guys do what Miss Clayton did. Go work for one of the franchises first. I mean, that is invaluable. Because you want to go learn on somebody else's dime. Miss Rader.
I was just going to comment on what you said about laziness being, a reason that you didn't want to open your own business. But I don't think that that's a very good word for that, because I know a lot of people, have worked, jobs and, throughout their lifetime. And if I remember right, I think you were in the corporate world for a while too. And there's so much stress and, so many things you have to do, and you're always on the go and always having to worry about things that, some people, when they come to massage for, a job or a career, they don't want all of that extra stress. They just want to do their own thing and have their own little business, and they make their schedule, and that's okay. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Some people don't want to, have that. They want to get away from that.
Yeah. No. Well said. And you're right. I'm not a lazy person, actually, but I was just like, this, it scared. What Miss Clayton talked to me about was like, if this job gets too hard for me right now, this job, I can just quit. And I'm out $0. I have 0 invested in Gateway. I have to get a new job, but I have 0. If Miss Clayton didn't do one of those things in the early beginning, she would have been out $700,000. So when it's 2 a.m. and she's like, I got to do something else, yeah, you do. And that's not even for a guarantee. That's because she's got all this money dumped in. So you're right. Yeah. But yeah, well said. You're right. It's about lifestyle. What do you want? Not about laziness. You're right. Well said. Mr. Lee. You had your hand raised, Mr. Lee? Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, you do have your hand raised on one of your things, but that's okay. Miss Green.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of touch on something, because you guys are mainly, when you talk about business, like for massage, I feel like you guys are just kind of touching on franchise businesses. And personally, yes, I feel like that will probably be way harder because it's way bigger. But personally, my cousin has her own massage business, and she sells her CBD products out of it and makes that side money as well.
Oh,
she goes to see her clients in their houses, as well as have them come to a space of her own that maybe she rents out or whatever. and she makes great money off of it. She doesn't struggle or whatever.
Yeah.
She's been doing what she's doing every single day, and that's literally what I'm planning to do.
Oh.
personally.
Oh,
As
Miss.
well as what you guys are saying about the like if a client were to not show up, how you don't get paid. That's not necessarily always true, because if you set for a deposit that is non-refundable, then in a way I am getting paid, regardless if it's the amount that I was expecting to get with them coming plus a tip or not. I'm still getting paid. So that's how I see it at the end of the day, because I can set the tone for how much someone deposits into my business, whether they show up or not. I can say it's $50 or I can say it's $75.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's up to me at the end of the day. I get to set that tone for myself. So
Sure.
in a way, I kind of think that it can be beneficial in certain ways, but yes, I could see where it could be a little difficult in other ways as well. And no business is easy. And nothing in life is really easy or comes easy for real. So I never expected to be that way in the first place, if I'm being
Good.
real.
Good. Yeah, I want to make a distinction. There is a huge difference between you being the only employee of your business. That has very little overhead, and that is very safe, and I have done that for years, as opposed to having employees and having a brick and mortar establishment that you have rent to.
Right.
It sounds like your cousin is going to people's homes. Sounds like she is the business, and you're absolutely right. All of you will probably do that. All of you will probably have some private clients. Most massage therapists do, and that's very low risk. And I actually encourage you to do that.
I feel like it's not that it's a safer route, but I feel like for me, I don't want to have to feel like I have to rely on someone and then they let me down, or you know what I mean, or they don't show up for their job to be on time the way that I would, because I know my expectations for myself. So I can't always necessarily set the same expectations for someone else because they're not me. You feel me?
Yeah.
So me being the type of person that I am and knowing what I know, definitely I would be the type of person that wouldn't want 1,000 people working for me or doing things for me. I would rather just do it myself, because sometimes they say when you do it yourself, you get it done right. You feel me?
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, this is my thoughts.
No, they're legitimate. Completely. Miss Hendrickson.
Yeah, so I was just wanting to ask if so it talks about the different types of businesses in here. So if you're doing a massage on your own, like as your own business, like is it a requirement that you have one of these, like a sole proprietorship, or can you just file your taxes like 1099 and just do it that way?
You can just file your taxes normal. The IRS tends, if you are just, again, I want to make a huge distinction between running a business where you have employees.
Right. No, I'm just talking about like doing mobile.
You are
having them
you are the only business.
Yeah.
Even if you work out of a salon or whatever, but you are the business, just you. You can just file your taxes like normal and just make sure you report all that income. And
okay, and you could do that if you were like an independent contractor, where you're like at a place, but you're a person. Still.
Yes, it's actually very similar. You working for yourself or you being an independent contractor really are the same thing. An independent contractor is a person that works for themselves and kind of subcontracts under somebody else, but it really is the same thing. You get money and you have to report it. And I am not an accountant. This is not accounting advice, but usually you fill out something like a Schedule C, which is kind of like your business income on your taxes, and you report it, and they'll take your Social Security number as your tax ID number, and the IRS will be happy as long as you paid your taxes on it. You're fine.
Okay, so you would just like keep, because you mentioned like okay, you have a business account that's going to have all of your income and expenses that are massage related directly. Yep. So that could also include like any kind of items that you're trying to sell, like candles or
absolutely
aromatherapy stuff like that. And then you're just gonna, I guess you would just keep all that information, and then either you just file it yourself, or you have like an accountant and you just give them all of that, and then they can figure out how much you owe.
By the way, the software is so good now. The online software is so good now that you could probably do it yourself.
I've done it online myself, but not as a, just like as a regular employee. Yeah. But it was pretty easy.
It's pretty easy if you read carefully. But yes, let me give you a quick example. If you have this bank account that you've set up to be your business bank account, it just makes things cleaner and easier. When you sell a candle, you put the money in that account. When you buy wax to make candles, you take the money out of that account.
Right.
When you want to pay yourself, you take the money out of that account and put it into your other bank account. And it just keeps things clean, because if you're audited, by the way, just to let you know really quickly, one of the ways that they audit you is they look at all your bills and expenses, and they look at the money that's coming in, and if it doesn't cover that, they know there's money somewhere else, and you're in big trouble.
Whereas, like, if you're making less than you're spending, then it's either not successful or you're lying about it.
Yeah, there's just, yes, kind of obvious stuff like that. But yes, but I have, yes, you will have no problem as long as you're reporting your income. None at all. Yes. Mr. Richards.
If Mr. Ibarra is there, can I ask him the same question I asked you?
Yes.
Why didn't he do his own establishment? And
yeah, I love this.
Yeah, I just wanted to see why he did what he.
I'm with you, Mr. Ibarra. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. It's the same thing Tapscott was talking about. I did pursue doing my mobile chair massage business for a while, and then I decided to move further on to other things like business, getting into the restaurant industry, and then a lot of things went south with my family in Anaheim, so I had to go back and take care of them, especially my dad. So as I got older, I got into that thing called the comfort zone. I said, well, I don't want to end up spending the money. I'm getting older. I want to create my roots, and that's what really kind of impeded my growth right there. Is mostly family, taking care of my mom, taking care of my dad. So if you're single and you don't have any obstacles, you're free and you're young, you can just do whatever you want to do and move on. But once you get into that comfort zone, like maybe Tapscott and I are into, it's just like, you get to that point where, it's risk taking is not good at this age.
Yeah.
You just gotta just move on and do whatever you gotta do. So, but for Mr. Richards, for you, you're young, you have money, you're single, I believe.
You don't have any friends.
You have directive. You're ambitious. You could do whatever you want to do. You're still young. You're still a spring chicken. When you get as an old goat like me, you just want to just come and go. So I don't know if that's Tapscott's view too, but
basically it is, Mr. Ibarra. But I'd just like to say, by the way, I think Ms. Rader actually put a finer point on it for me, which was it's not even about that. It's just about lifestyle. I don't want to deal with what Miss Clayton's dealing with. I really don't. I can leave Gateway if things bother me. I can move on. I've got other stuff. By the way, I am a business owner. I own tiny bits of about 1,000 businesses in the stock market. And they don't keep me up at night, and they just keep growing and growing and growing. I'm a big believer in being a business owner, but I just found it much more profitable and easy to invest in the stock market, which I would advise everybody to do. But anyway, so yeah, just different ways to look at it. But I also want to talk people out of it. I have friends that are very successful massage business owners that are very happy. It's just, it's work, be ready to work, Miss Hendrickson.
Do you have any advice specifically on, I don't know if there's like a certain percentage, but like when you're drawing a paycheck from your business account, is there like a specific like percentage you want to keep in there, or is this all just kind of like, trial and error as far as like, you want to have your next month's expenses in there still?
Yes. Yeah, so you're just talking about a mobile massage thing, right? Like you're going to people's homes, so you don't have rent coming up, anything like that.
Right.
Like try to keep $1,000 in the business account.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If business is going well and you're able to live off what you're drawing on, let that grow a little bit in there, because it's always nice to have some buffer. I mean,
does a business account get better interest rates than a regular checking account? No. You just mean like grow as in like keep adding income to it.
I mean, at some point, if you're making a lot of income, you want to be investing that in something. That's a whole other discussion, but
once you get past like a few thousand or something, if you have like extra sitting there, then you want to move that into a different account, like a stock market or something.
Yeah, let me make a quick soapbox plea to all of you, especially the young people out there. So my daughter started doing this at age 18. You can put about $5,000 or $6,000 in an IRA right now. let's just
Okay,
take a
IRA.
Roth. Let's just take a Roth IRA.
Mm-hmm.
It goes in a Roth IRA. It's taxed going in, but it doesn't get taxed while it's growing, and it doesn't get taxed coming out.
Right.
That is a
Mhm.
massively profound concept. Anyway, my daughter put $5,000 in her Roth IRA at age 18. And she does that every year now.
Mhm.
And it is very likely by the time that she is 50 that she'll be, well, easily a multimillionaire.
Wow.
Yes. So,
Because it grows that much.
yes, it doesn't grow very much in the beginning. The next year you're like, oh, I've got,
But it's exponential.
Tapscott told me whatever, and it's 5,500, but it grows exponentially and you pull it out, yes. And so,
And then you're supposed to leave it in for like 5 years, or wait, no, that's a CD, right?
yeah,
Where you
no,
have
I
to
want
sit
you.
in-
I want you to leave it until you retire, and the Roth will actually penalize you if you don't. The IRAs will penalize you if you don't. But I just can't
If
tell
you take it out early.
If you take it out early, they will. They'll penalize you,
Oh,
depending on what
I
you
thought
take
that
out
was
for.
different than the other kind of retirement accounts, but you still get penalized. But the only difference is it gets taxed at the beginning and not when you take it out. But if you take it out early, you still have to pay a penalty for it.
So imagine, yes. So imagine her being worth a few $1 million, and when she starts drawing on that, it doesn't get taxed. It's just money coming out to her.
And then you just take that as a retirement or pension. Like you just start pulling from that when you retire.
Yes. Yeah.
You have to reach like 65.
Yes. But do the calculation. Stick $5,000. Just go online to an investment calculator. Get $5,000 invested in the S&P 500 mutual fund. It's going to average close to 10% a year. Run that scenario out for 40 years, and that $5,000 alone could be worth $500,000.
Wow.
Do that every year. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's a reason I can afford to be a teacher. They don't pay us squat here. My gateway's wonderful. I don't mean it like that, but I just meant like, if I'm taking cruises and stuff, I'm not doing that off my salary,
Right.
right? Okay. So that's because I invested in a whole bunch of companies, but I don't have to stay up late at night. Mr. Rial.
Mr. Tapscott, I would just like to add something to
Please.
the business side of this profession. First of all, I think that having a business, it requires goals. It requires to know where are you going. Personally, I am a hairdresser, and I don't have a beauty shop. And the reason was because my goal was to have a family.
Yes.
Having a business, I have friends that they have beautiful shops, hair salons, and their kids' life is miserable.
Yeah.
One of my friends, her kids, she has like 4 daughters because she has to be in her business. Most of her daughters, they got married very young, they got babies very young, no careers, nothing. So you have to value what is it, what you want in life. My husband in the other side, he said, no, I don't want to have a boss and I want my own business. So he has his own business.
Right.
But everything, and I'm like, okay, I'm the side of the family. So everything has to boil down to what do we want in life. And the other side, I would like to just say that being a hairdresser and now, if God willing, I can get my license to be a massage therapist. These 2 professions are the ones that give you money no matter where you are. Let's just think about this way. Sometimes I'm in my house, a friend calls me, wants a haircut, I have money in my pockets. Sometimes I go to work, I get, my payment rate is not very high, but sometimes, like the other day, I got this client, she has cancer, she loves my haircut, she tipped me with $40 just for a haircut that took me 15 minutes because she barely had hair.
Yeah.
So I've seen tips for hairdressers for $100, and I work at a Great Clips, and Great Clips is like the cheapest of the cheapest.
Yeah.
So being a massage therapist, first of all, will give you money wherever you are.
Yes.
You have literally your business in your hands wherever you are.
Yes.
So yes, having a business brings you a lot of success, happiness, but it's not everything. So we have to look inside of us. What is what we have? My husband said, I take time wherever I want, I go wherever I want, when I want, and I don't have that boss. But sometimes I don't see him sleeping well at night because he's concerned about, he's an attorney, he has to, he's worried for his clients that he has to go to court, his employees are not having the documents on time, or they did it, or they have deadlines to file. So it's a lot of pressure. Yes. And I'm like, I'm so happy maybe I will live longer because I sleep so well every night.
That's true.
So we have to really value what we want. Where do we go? Regardless of being very successful with a bunch of problems.
Yeah, no, well said. Yeah, so there's different types of success or different types of pay, right? You can be paid with time too, and that's valuable too, and family and all that kind of stuff. Good point. Good news is what Ms. Suriel said too. You guys will always have work. Like
and money.
I can walk out right now and get
People tip you all the time. Sometimes I go to work and when I see my pockets, I just have $100 just on tips out of nothing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it made my day today. So.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. It's true. It's my favorite thing when I was a massage therapist in the beginning was I'd go home with like $100 in tips every day, and I still got a paycheck that was quite big. It's really kind of neat. Okay, everybody. Moving right along. All right. You all will be getting a professional license. I don't think we need to really talk about that, but you will be getting a professional massage license. Just don't confuse your massage license with like zoning licenses and things like that. Like technically, your massage license says you can massage people in Arizona, anywhere, anytime. But that doesn't mean you're zoned in your house to massage, for example. Now, it probably doesn't matter because you're not going to put a sign up and you're not going to have a line of cars outside. But there are certain areas of the city where you're not allowed to conduct a business out of your house. Again, probably not going to matter because you're not going to have a line of massage clients coming in and out of your house. But I'm just letting you know your massage license lets you massage. You might choose an establishment or a location that requires additional licensing or additional requirements beyond that to run a business there. That makes sense, I hope? Miss Suriel, you still have your hand up. I'm assuming it's just left over. I want to make sure.
Yes,
okay.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I just didn't want to ignore you. I recommend you all get liability insurance. It's super duper cheap. You will, knock on wood, never need it. But super duper cheap. It's about $150 a year. And most of the national professional massage organizations, there's about 3, will give you their monthly magazine, and they're quite good. Actually, they have neat massage techniques and stuff like that. They'll usually give you free online CEU training with that membership, and give you a $10 million policy for liability insurance or malpractice insurance. So the same thing. So that if you tweak somebody's neck, there it is, Massage Therapy Journal. Yeah, thank you, Ms. Dimitrik. Yeah, and it's like a $10 million policy. And it's not even, I'm not even worried about you actually tweaking somebody's neck. I'm worried about somebody saying you tweaked their neck. Because people wake up the next morning, they're like, oh, my neck hurts. It must have been my massage therapist, right? And so that way, you have coverage, and you don't have to worry about your stuff. And Mr. Ibarra just posted this, and he's right. Some employers require it. So some employers require that their employees have malpractice insurance too, in case a client comes back that they're covered. So yeah, super cheap. I know $150 doesn't always feel super cheap, but it will when you see, you know, the downside of not having it. Okay. And if you can get it, you used to not be able to get this as a massage therapist. You can now. I know people have gotten it. Disability insurance is amazing. And it's really helpful. So we've already had some people be injured in class, right? And they couldn't massage. Well, if you're the only employee at your business and you can't massage, that's a problem, and disability insurance will cover you for that. So, and lots of people get disabled for a little bit of time. Yes, Mr. Godot.
All right, so I have a question.
Yeah.
Well, obviously I raised my hand, my bad. But when I was working at a massage studio, this lady, she was injured. I don't remember what she did. I think she broke her ankle or something like that. But she still like she was massaging a boot. Like
Yeah.
I don't. I'm just because you said that this is like it could cover injuries or whatever. So I'm just kind of wondering what do you think happened with that?
Well, so all disability insurance has very specific guidelines about they'll cover and not cover. And if they determine you can still massage, then they wouldn't cover that.
Okay. Well, because I know like leverage is very important, and well now like massaging, I'm trying to think like off one leg, like she was still doing well, but I know her massage was different.
Yeah. No, I got you. I don't know what her particular coverage was, but they are really specific about what they will and won't cover. And if somebody can determine that she can still stand in that boot, then you're right.
That's like you know how my thumb was messed up?
Yeah.
Like it was actually broken, so I had to like give it rest. So if
but see that would be yeah. But would the insurance company tell you that? Probably not.
Yeah.
That would be an easier claim because it's your hand.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And by the way, if you hurt your back bad enough that you couldn't stand, I mean, there's all sorts of other things, and your foot could work, but it's just, I don't know what her particular policy was.
Right. Sorry, I live by a fire station.
No worries. Anyway, but the fact is, apparently they didn't consider the foot to be as critical as
okay.
You understand.
Yeah, I was just wondering. Thank you.
No problem. Mr. Singletary, really quickly.
Don't you have somewhere to be?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay.
It's in just a minute. Thank you, by the way. Miss Clayton, did you have a quick comment? Or should we get you when we get back?
Yeah, I was just gonna say it has to be related, the injury to the massage, so she might have like fallen skiing or something too.
Got you. Super.
So does it have to like happen during the massage then?
Or be overused for massage?
Have to be injured during the massage?
That's what Miss Clayton's saying, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
That's frightening. By the way, do be careful with your hands. Even when you're doing yard work or whatever you're doing, a little cut on your hands. It is workman's comp too, Ms. Dimitrik. You can get workman's comp for that. Workman's comp's challenging, but you can. All right, everybody. 16-minute break. If I'm not back by then, you'll see homework released. I will be back shortly. I'm not going to desert you for a long time. Talk to you guys soon. Something you probably be covered.
Exactly, yeah.
Gotcha. Or playing basketball. Gotcha. Cool. All right, everybody. Employment opportunities. Everywhere. By the way, there are so many neat things that you might just stumble across or look for. I had a student in my very first class, Miss Bauer will remember her. It was Kim Nichols. Miss Bauer, I don't know if you remember her, but she was at a very large apartment complex, and they wanted to be able to say they provided massage there because it made the apartment complex look a little more high-end because it had a gym. And they gave her a room, not like she rented a room there at the apartment complex, but they gave her a room in the apartment complex to turn into a massage establishment, and she was the only massage therapist. And they didn't charge her for that room because they wanted to be able to offer massage. They didn't take the money, they didn't charge rent, they just wanted to be able to say they offered massage. And so she had a room free of rent. She got to keep all the money. She's the only therapist there. She said she wasn't terribly busy, but she's also like, it doesn't really matter because I'm getting to keep like, $80 an hour, and there's tips and there's no overhead. And she goes, I literally walk 35 feet to my front door of my business. She'd walk down the stairs and go there. So there's something to be said about being a big fish in a small pond. Don't underestimate that. I also had another student who had a gym that told him something very similar. They said, we've got a room to do massage out of, and we don't want any money for it or anything. We just want to have a massage therapist there to staff it. You get to keep all the money, everything. And he went there, and he was the massage therapist there, and he called me after being there 3 days, and he's like, I don't have any clients. I think I'm going to leave. And I was like, don't leave. Like, eventually, I guess you might have to leave, but don't underestimate what they're giving you. They're giving you a no overhead business that you can build on your own. And it's just a great, great opportunity. So there's stuff like that out there. Of course, you can work cruise ships. I've got many friends that have worked cruise ships. They have all told me the same thing. They've all told me I loved it and I would never do it again. And the reason they say that, they say love it. They say it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of camaraderie and stuff like that. But they said they work you really hard. And after doing it for a year or two, that you get kind of burned out. Ms. Savarino.
So if you do like a traveling therapist or something like that, do you have to take the NBLEX so you're like nationally certified so that you can still just go? So if like I were to go and like do a retreat with like somebody that I met and like they wanted me to like be their masseuse for the retreat, but it's in Florida, would I have to be certified for Florida?
Yes. I'm sorry, I thought you meant on a cruise ship. Cruise ships are...
No, I meant that too. That was a separate question, my bad.
So, all right, so cruise ships are generally in international waters, and licensing doesn't usually matter.
Okay.
So there's all sorts of stuff in international waters. Licensing just doesn't matter. But if you go to another state, yes, yes, technically you would have to have a massage license. Do I think that that ever happens? Do I think that's like what you're talking about? You're not talking about advertising in Florida. You're talking about going...
somebody would like, I would go be the masseuse for like a retreat that
Yes.
I made connections in Sedona. They were already
So
talking about.
technically, I'm sure that's against their state laws, but also technically, you're going there with this group and you're coming back, and you're not setting up a location there.
Yeah.
So I guess if you get down to the letter of the law, you're breaking the law. But I don't even know if their board's going to care that much.
This smile will get me out of it.
Yeah.
No worries.
Well,
Thank
there's
you.
nothing to get out of because if you're advertising in Florida,
No.
things like that.
Somebody
No.
was just gonna like have a retreat with a bunch of like women, 18 women, and
Yeah.
all gonna want to get a massage. So
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you for the job, Scott.
That happens all the time. All the time.
Thank you.
Miss Green.
So that's still the equivalent of like having a client that lives in like Washington D.C. or Canada or something, and I just popped over for a visit and I gave them a massage and they paid me for it.
Yeah. Now let me be very clear, Miss Green. It's against the licensing laws there. You really are breaking the law. I just always like to be very honest with you, too, to say I highly doubt their board is on the lookout for somebody doing one massage in their territory.
Right. That's
with somebody that hired them while they're in another territory. Now, if, I don't know, if for some reason that client drug you in front of the board and stuff, could they say you were violating? Yeah, I just never heard it. So anyway, it is technically
So are you
against the
saying
law.
this if I was, are you saying this is the case that could happen if I were working for someone else and did this? Or are you saying if I was working for myself
Both
and
cases.
I did this?
The law in almost every area is that you must have a massage license from that area to do any massage in that area.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to Canada and you're not a licensed massage therapist in Canada and you're doing massage, you're breaking the law. But does that mean that when you go up to visit your family up there and your aunt, whatever, wants a massage and you give it to her and she gives you $50 that the board's going to go after you? They're probably not going to care or know.
That's true.
But when I set up shop up there or advertise up there, oh no.
No, yeah.
No.
Basically, careful who you
Yeah, and
have as your
I'm not
client.
trying to encourage you guys to break the law. I want to be very clear. You're breaking the law. I just think even massage boards kind of recognize who they're going after. And I'm sure people have come into Arizona from another state and done massage on 5 people in a retreat and then left. Yeah.
Okay. Do they I don't you know how like with traveling when you like go on planes and stuff, if you like took your table or something like that, like do you have to like show your license to have the table or no?
No.
Okay, just making sure.
Anybody in the world can walk around with a massage table. Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, cool.
Very cool. Yeah. Ms. Hendrickson.
Oh yeah, I was just curious because you said like with the international waters thing, it's like you're not in any territory, but they probably still require you to have some kind of license to hire you, right?
Oh yeah. I've never worked for a cruise line, but I suspect they want to see some type of credential and they want to know you're decent and stuff like that. But but that's up to the individual cruise line. I don't think they're worried about if you're licensed. There's no way all those massage therapists are licensed in every country they go into.
Right. They can't have they probably don't have all those multiple licenses. Do you know if they usually? I mean, let's say it's not something I would be doing right now, but in 10 years, when I have an empty nest, then I might go do some cruise ship stuff.
Yes.
Is that do you know if they usually do contracts for 6 months, a year, or something like that at a time? Do you have on and off time, you get to go home in between, and
Yeah.
pilot would?
Again, I don't know specific details, but yes, they do contracts, and yes, you are on for it's like a 6-month contract, and you're on straight through.
Wow. Do
Yeah.
you get a day off at least?
Yeah, there is some ability to get some time off, and if you're in port, sometimes you can get off in port and things like that. And some of my friends told me the problem was that when they did get off, they go spend the money they made when they get off in port and things like that. That they didn't really, they enjoyed it. They said, but it's hard work.
Right.
They don't want you
But
just.
then they probably provide everything for you, food and
Oh, yeah.
everything.
They
with
do.
your own-
Yeah.
Yeah. And so your room and board is covered. And then
Yes,
So
but
that'd
your
be pretty good.
room is you in bunk beds with 3 other people.
Oh.
Right? They're not guest accommodations. They're bunk bed and
Right.
shared bathrooms down the hall and stuff. They've got to pack in a lot of employees.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a very different living situation.
Hopefully nobody snores.
Yeah. So yes, because you're going to hear them. That's true. Exactly. All right. And again, actually, I like all these places that are listed here. I've worked at most of these places. Hospitals are now hiring massage therapists. Banner Health, all their hospitals hire massage therapists, by the way. So that's kind of a cool thing too. And the cool thing with hospitals is you usually get health insurance. So that's something to look into too. And even places like American Cancer Center, Cancer Centers of America, they have a huge outlet here, huge hospital here. And when I talk to them about hiring massage therapists, they get something like 1,000 people applied when they post a position. This years ago, the last time I talked to them. And I was like, oh, you must have hired the person with the most experience. They said, no, we actually tried to hire somebody with the right personality to do this job. It wasn't even somebody with necessarily a lot of experience at all. So don't underestimate what you guys have to offer because you're in the people business. So if you're good with people, you'd be surprised. You can get a massage job with a pair of good hands and the right kind of smile. I mean, I've gotten a lot of massage jobs just walking in there and being like, but I love people. Ms. Savarino.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention whenever we first started, Miss Borish, she sent me a link to actually get signed up to give veterans massages through the VA, and that's a really good opportunity because the VA will just working with veterans and stuff like that. It's a good compensation, so that's just something if anybody else is interested in doing because you'll be able to get referred out and veterans will just come to you through the community care. So that's also another good opportunity. Yeah.
It takes a while to get paid by the community care, but you will get paid.
Yeah, for sure.
Mr. Richards.
So we're qualified to do disabled people and elderly and things because I'd like to go to the residential homes and nursing homes and do hand and foot massage just for the elderly, just to, charge next to nothing, but just advertising. They've got families.
They do have
they're
families.
not-
I just did this because I had a friend that did that for a living, and I was like, what could you possibly do? And he went to nursing homes, and you would be great at it, Mr. Richards. He would walk in there and he'd be like, oh, Mary, your hair looks lovely today. I see you have a new bow in your hair. And Mary'd light up, and he'd massage her hands and her arms and sometimes her feet. That was a whole massage. Very gentle, lots of lotion, things like that. It was a massage, but very much like that. And he'd go through the whole nursing home. They loved him. You're right. Great advertising, all that kind of stuff. And yes, you are legally allowed to do that.
Because when I visited here, I had a friend who went into a home, and I used to go and massage her hands because she had carpal tunnel, and I wasn't doing it as a job. I wasn't getting paid. I was just doing it to make her feel good. And people was asking me like when I was sitting there doing it, it was like, oh, you know, can you do me next? I'm like, I'm sorry, but you know, I can't. But maybe the future.
Yeah.
We'll see.
What I also like about it is one of the hardest things for a massage therapist to do is get people to trust them, right? And so if I found out that you worked on my grandmother, I think I'd be pretty trusting to have you work on me. Yeah, it's a very good idea. It's a very sweet idea, too. Your book says full-time for massage therapists is 38 hours. A lot of places consider 32 hours to be full-time for massage therapists. The work is hard. And 5 days a week, 6 hours a day, and a little bit of extra time for cleanup is usually about all most massage therapists do. Most massage therapists don't do more than 6 hours a day of massage. Some only do 4. They just find it too taxing. When I was really young and had to pay for twins, there were times I would do double shifts and do 10 hours in a day. But it was tough. It was tough. So anyway, 32 hours is what most places will accept as full-time for massage therapists. Yeah, Miss Carrillo, please.
Okay, I just want to clarify because I know most places consider 40 hours full-time, but with massage therapy, that is the exception. They do consider 38 hours full-time.
Well, yeah, I've actually found most the places I've dealt with consider 32 full-time. Like if they offer benefits, they usually kick in for 32 hours and above.
I didn't know that. That's so cool.
If they offer benefits, some don't offer benefits, but if they do, usually they're like, nope, you're full-time. If they schedule you 6 hours a day, 5 days a week, they consider you full-time.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And it is. That's a lot. Yeah. Your book also tries to make a distinction between employers and being an employee and being a contract person. Basically, if you're an employee, you have to follow the schedule the employer sets. The employer collects the money and pays you out afterwards. They collect taxes, all that kind of stuff. They actually get to decide what you wear and all those things. If you're truly a contract person, an independent contractor, you usually have a lot of control over your hours, and you have control over what you wear and schedules and all sorts of stuff. There is a big gray area in the middle of that, but basically, if somebody is trying to tell you that you have to be there 5 days a week from this time to this time and wear a uniform and things like that, you shouldn't be a contract employee anymore. You're not an independent contractor anymore. You're an employee. And you care, by the way, because there's nothing wrong with being an independent contractor, but I want to be paid a little bit more as an independent contractor because I've got to pay both sides of my Social Security. So when you work for somebody else, you know that Social Security tax you guys see when you're paying your taxes or on your checks? The employer pays the other half of that. So if you see $56 coming out of your check, $56 is also getting paid in by the employer. If you're an independent contractor, if you're self-employed, you pay both sides to the IRS. So I want a little bit more money as an independent contractor. Ms. Hendrickson, please.
Are there any parts of your taxes that are less by being an independent? Like, I mean, you have to pay twice for that, but then do you not have to pay other parts like the liability or what's it called, workman's comp or something?
Yeah, you won't have to pay. You won't have to pay into workman's comp. That's true. But
that's not very much, is it?
Well, you're not really paying into workman's comp anyway. The employer pays into workman's comp. You could argue that it comes out somewhere.
Oh, okay, I think it has been taken out before. Maybe in Washington, they might have different rules there.
Yeah, I don't think they take Miss Clayton. You don't take workman's comp out from your employees' checks. No.
No, we have to pay that.
They have to pay that.
You guys don't.
Yeah, and it's, by the way, it's different for every employer depending on how many claims they've had.
Oh.
So that's why when you own your own business too, you freak out every time you have a workman's comp claim because your insurance literally goes up. Yeah. Okay. Resumes. So if you want help with your resumes, we have a resume expert at Gateway. Her name is Katie Mendoza. She is a sweetheart. she'll actually probably sit down with you, maybe virtually, but she'll probably sit down with you one-on-one and go over resume stuff. So if you want her contact information or whatever, do you guys want me to put it in the side chat thing? Yeah, hold on. I gotta pop out of here to do it, so bear with me. Let me see how to do that. Can I get out of here? Yes, I can. Sorry, everybody. There we go. Come on. Come on. There we go. I'm going to be able to... Come on. Don't do that to me. All right. Well, let me put this in the side chat. This is her email address. She's awesome. Let's see if we can get this thing. She also, I think it's still up. She has a way that you can actually go to Book Me Online and actually book an appointment with her. Okay. All right. There we go. All right. So that's Katie Mendoza. You will not need a curriculum vitae, which is a very long resume. I want to be very clear about resumes for massage therapists because they tend to be overemphasized. Most and by the way, you don't need massage experience. Obviously, you guys won't have it. But it doesn't matter. Believe it or not, as an employer of massage therapists, I didn't actually look for massage experience in their resumes. I looked for longevity, for one thing. When I got a resume where somebody told me that they worked for 6 months at such and such place, or heaven forbid 3 months at another place, and then 5 months at another place, what that told me was this person doesn't stay long any place, and they hop around. I honestly think if you got a resume loaded with 3 months at 6 different places, I would leave those out altogether and be like, I was going to school. I don't even know what to tell you, but it doesn't look good. And what I looked for on massage therapist resumes was things that might suggest customer service. But even that said, the cool thing about massage, the super cool thing about massage is, it all comes down to your practical when you go in there. And your resume in general is just a way for them to get a hold of you. So keep it to one page, keep it clean, keep it tight and understandable, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I'm not trying to, that may not be true for other industries, but for massage industry in Arizona, your resume is not making or breaking you, as long as there's no misspelled items on there and some obvious things, but that's it. Ms. Hendrickson, please.
So if you have like jobs that were maybe like between 1 and 2 years, because like most of the jobs I've had lasted like about that long. Is that
that's fine?
That doesn't look bad, does it?
No, that's fine. Okay. And I'm not even talking about one short job, but it's just like when we see a pattern of you going to 4 different jobs under 6 months, it's frightening to an employer because they have to invest a lot in you to get you trained and stuff. So, yeah. Mrs. Savarino?
In like the massage industry, do they care about like, cause like my resume, I have like my military experience, like everything that I did, but like it was like communications. Like, do they like, well, like working with like satellites and stuff. So like, do I have to put that on my resume, or do I want to put my resume more like massage based? Cause then I work like security and some other stuff. But like, do I keep like my military, like what I did, but like they're not even gonna understand it because I'm all talking like, you know, secure networks and all that other stuff. Do I like dumb it down?
Yeah, you might dumb it down a bit, but I would definitely have it in there. There's a bias for vets that is a good bias that you deserve, right? And there's 2 perceptions of vets. One is that you served our country, right? And so that could help you, and you did, thank you. But the second thing is there's a belief that is actually based in fact that you've also learned to work in teams.
Mm-hmm.
right? And so
do like more team building, like what I
Sure.
did as far like not more of like my job, but like the experience as the military as a whole.
Well, it just shows you've been trained and you're intelligent and you did stuff. So I just don't think they need the level of detail because they're not hiring you for that position. But I would definitely include it all. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Definitely. I think it's something to, just shows longevity and a high level of training. Okie dokie. Job interviews, there's a whole bunch of types of job interviews. Normally what they do is they screen through resumes first before they even talk to you. I'll tell you, in the old days, just to give you an idea of screening, in the old days at the Princess, I'd have a stack of resumes. I'm not exaggerating, this high. Right? Be a foot tall. And I would literally go through it, and if somebody said on there can't work Saturdays or Sundays, either one of those days, I threw that resume in the trash. And the reason I did that was everybody can work Monday through Friday. Everybody can work Monday through Friday. That didn't mean anything to me. I needed people that could work weekends. And so I was going to try to get, as an employer, I was going to try to get the ideal employee. So I just threw those in the trash. And to this day, I'm not saying you have to work both Saturdays and Sundays, but to this day, I suspect, and I can't speak for every employer, but I suspect that if you went into most massage, actually I suspect almost every massage employer here in the state, if you went to them and said, I can't work Monday through Friday, ever, I can only work Saturdays and Sundays, they'd say, when do you want to start? It's the hardest time to fulfill. I will also tell you, you will make more working Saturday and Sunday than you will all 5 days, Monday through Friday. So if you can change your lifestyle, and it's easier than you know, to weekends, think about it. Think about it if you can. But you're definitely going to probably have to work Saturdays or Sundays in the beginning, one of those two things. And if you can change your lifestyle, think about it, because there's more money on those times. And I had to work at the Princess. I worked there for 13 years, and I worked every Saturday and Sunday and every Christmas and everything for 13 years. And I found it was kind of cool being off Mondays and Tuesdays when nobody else was off and things like that. There's some advantages too. Miss Dimitruk.
Can Miss Clayton weigh in on what she's looking for?
Yeah, Miss Clayton, tell us. Do you agree with what I said?
Yes, absolutely. I agree with everything you say, Mr. Hopscott, because you are right on in everything. You're a wise man in many ways. What I look for mostly are people that, let me think about how to put this in words, that want to be there, that aren't just, sometimes I feel like someone just needs a job just for the moment, and, I want people that want to be at our spa for some time. Not just a couple months until they find something better. Then I look for people who are genuinely nice human beings. I believe that, kind of that video last night, the kindness element, I want people on our team that are kind. I get rid of people that are toxic, or mean, or bullies, or jerks to other people. I don't think that's good. I mean, we all spend a lot of time at work, and we want to make sure we enjoy coming to work. I mean, as much as it's work, we want to be around people we like. So I'm really mostly worried, concerned about, do they want to be there? Are they going to be a good part of the team? And are they going to be nice? And then are they humble? Because I've, in the last 6 years, there's been a lot of therapists that come in and know everything. And you never stop learning, right? So when someone has I already know that attitude and you can't teach me anything I don't already know, that's a red flag to me, because I think that person, doesn't have the right outlook on life in general. I mean, it's just, and they're very rigid, and then they get offended easily, and it's like, I don't care how good you are, you can always continue to learn and grow and share. And so that mentality too, are they willing to take constructive feedback? Because what happens in a lot of cases, and I think it's human nature, is the first thing that happens for many people when I say, hey, you got a client complaint, they had concerns about X, Y, and Z, human nature, they get defensive. Well, they didn't tell me. Well, I asked them and they didn't say that. Well, I did, so it's a sign of emotional intelligence when they can sit back and, take it and not feel that I'm, coming down on them or that they're horrible people. It's just a learning opportunity. So that emotional intelligence is big too. So those are the things.
Well said. Yeah, along the lines of what she said, everybody too, don't be sheepish because you're just graduated from massage school. I've had many employers, and I bet Miss Clayton, along the lines of what Miss Clayton said, who told me they would rather hire a good student fresh out of school because they're not arrogant and they're trainable and they take feedback. And so this is one of the strange industries where it's a plus to be like, I just graduated school. Please let me just do a practical. I think you'll be happy. And you'd be shocked where you can get in with just doing that. You do not need, this is not the place where everybody wants to hear you've got 12 years experience. It's very unusual. That's very true. Miss Pugh.
I was just wondering, for like people who have kids like that are young in elementary school and they can only work during like business hours, not on nights and weekends, would that be an issue getting a job?
Yes. So what you might want to think about, I'm sorry to be so blunt, but yes, it might really be an issue because daytime, Monday through Friday is the easiest thing employers have to cover. It doesn't mean it can't be done, Miss Pugh. Anything can be done.
Well,
but also
luckily for me, I have like a parenting plan, but as long as at home, like I have like certain days that are his, certain days that are mine. So it shouldn't be an issue for me. But if he doesn't want to do his part, then I'd be like stuck not working a regular job.
And you also just might go the route of private clients because you might be able to build private clients that can fall into those times or a supplement of the two. Yeah. And Miss Clayton, I think, has something to say about this. I want to hear from her.
Well, so in the olden days, when things were better, so it does seem like a lot of the people that come to work for us want to work Mondays through Fridays, which I find ironic because I tell them, I'm like, most of your clients work those hours too, so you're going to be busier on nights and weekends. But needless to say, we are so busy that we hire anyone for any shifts, and we're very, I know there are certain companies that are like, you're going to work this day and this shift. I'm like super flexible. So I think a lot of companies have become a lot more flexible. So if you come in and tell me you can only work Monday through Wednesday, 9 to 3, that's fine. You know what I mean? Wow. The only thing that I recommend or that I mandate, that I require, is that people either do an opening shift or a closing shift. So we don't have people all the time coming in at 1 to 3, 2 to 4. Like it's you start at 9 and you work till whenever, or you want to be a closer and you leave when we close. So you either do an opening shift or a closing shift, but those shifts can be any hours, any days you want.
Oh, wow. So go work for Miss Clayton. And by the way, she's right. The landscape has changed. Employers are a little more desperate these days. Miss Young.
So I was just going to say kind of about like the wanting to work like Saturdays and Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly would rather like have weekdays off, because if you're going to go into town, like Saturdays and Sundays, that's when everyone's off. Then it's super busy. You're like, there might not be anything in stores if you go out super late. So like if you go out during the weekend, it's going to be stocked. No one's going to be there. Kids are going to be in school. You're going to have like the easiest time of your life.
Yeah.
Except for like people heading to work and leaving to work, but that's it.
Yeah. So good points. Everybody good points, because it just depends on what kind of life you want. Yeah. Mr. Richards.
So, is there anything you can, like on a certain day, like a bank holiday or a holiday day, can you charge more? You work Christmas, so do you charge the clients more because it's that day, or is it the same rate? Because my opinion, Americans, you work your people. I mean, we have holidays, and we get double time for that. We get it off. You know, we get every bank holiday in the UK. You get double time.
Yeah.
Here, when I worked at Albertsons, you got Christmas Day and Thanksgiving Day. That's it. Every other holiday is regular, normal.
Yeah.
So my question is there any day you can charge the clients more because you're not at home with your family, Christmas Day, for instance? and
So-
things?
You can legitimately do it if you post it. I've never done it before, but it's actually a really good idea. So we never did it at the Princess because the Princess just charges the same rate all the time, right? And they didn't pay us extra during that time either. That's just the expectation. But could you, on your website, say, available for special request holidays, here's a list of the holidays. Please understand that there's a 25% surcharge on all holiday bookings, or whatever it is. I think you absolutely could do that. Also, the nice thing is if you're doing just your own massage or running your own establishment, you can choose not to be available those times. So yes, you're allowed to do that, and you could also charge more for last minute bookings. As long as you're consistent doing it with everybody and it's posted, yeah, you can do it. Yeah. Mr. Jones.
I was just gonna say that's what my chiropractor does. He has his set hours, and then he has his technically on call, which would be like his double time.
His emergency hours, yeah.
Special requests essentially cost twice as much, basically.
Yeah.
But if you schedule, normal price.
Yeah.
So holidays would be twice as much.
Yes, well said. And by the way, I'll be honest. Like you don't charge different prices to different clients just because you like one better more than the other. But I tend to find when I was doing private practice, when I was just doing my own clients, I was certainly much more available to my clients that booked me all the time. You know, when I've got a client that books me and his wife every week and they want me on Christmas, and they're bringing in $10,000 to my bottom line, you know, I might be available for them on Christmas, whereas somebody else who I see twice a year, I'm not going to do Christmas massages for them. You know what I mean? That's something to think about too. There is some favoritism in that sense, and I think that's okay. So because, you know, there are clients that are, you know, one client can be worth, one regular client that comes to you once a week is worth 50 clients that come to you once a year. I mean, that's just a fact. Yeah. So they do screening with your job application. Because of that, I think it's really valuable if you want to work at a place to go in person. If you know there's a place that you want to work at, go in person. It shows a lot of initiative. Go in twice. People are always like, I'm going to bug them. Trust me, they'll be impressed that you're bugging them. And then it's very likely that you will have multiple interviews. Usually you have kind of an oral interview, sometimes with the owner, and then you'll often do a practical interview with the lead therapist. That's very common. And by practical interview, I mean you'll give them a massage. And be thinking that you want to make this person happy. They're a customer. So listen to what they're asking for and do what they're asking for. And don't take it too personal what the lead therapist thinks of you. Because sometimes you're actually very good and fresh out of school and they're a little intimidated by you. Other times you just don't do what they like. And also remember that even though you already did your oral interview, what you say to that lead therapist in that room is part of your interview too. I can't tell you. I had a woman once at the Princess who got through her oral interview very well with my boss and then was doing her practical on me. And during the practical, I was like, wow, your massage is really good, because it was really good. And she goes, yeah, I think it got better ever since I was abducted by aliens. So now, you know me, I'm not judging that. She might have really been abducted by aliens. Who am I to know? I honestly mean that. But she's going to be working on high-end guests, and I'm not sure that that's good information to divulge, right? So don't start talking about politics and aliens and things like that unless you know your audience. So the fact is, it just noted. Thank you, especially you, Mr. Craven. Yeah, anyway, so people talk really freely when they're massaging. I used to get so much information out of that portion of the massage. All right. And you probably will not do panel interviews. Panel interviews are usually for very different types of positions. That's where a whole group sits in front of you and asks you questions, and they're very nerve-wracking, but I highly doubt you'll go through that for a massage. You guys with me? Somebody just froze, but I think you're with me. Okay. Common sense stuff. Dress for your massage interviews. You do not have to wear a suit and tie, though. Like, people know. People know that you're going to do a massage during them. But maybe... Just 1 second, Mr. Godot. But dress appropriately. Maybe a polo shirt and, slacks or something. It does not have to be dressed up. They do understand you're going to do a massage, but don't wear anything sloppy. And I wouldn't wear, like, yoga pants to a massage interview, if that makes sense. And look clean. You do not need to look fancy. You need to look clean. We love it when people come in, no makeup, hair pulled back, clean, tidy. You know what I mean? Think healthy, athletic, I'm here to do a massage. That kind of stuff is really important. Obviously, look at body language. And by the way, think about how you interact with everybody. So when we'd have interviews come in, I get people to come back. They know they're doing their interview with me. And they come back and they'd be like, "Hi, so nice to meet you." They're delightful. And my front desk would call me later and go, "How'd the interview go?" And I'd be like, "It was great." They're like, "Well, they were real jerks to us." Yeah. So they're all snotty and comp attitude with the front desk. We didn't hire them. Like, everybody is your best friend at that place you walk into. You see trash on the floor, pick it up. Our HR department used to leave trash on the floor to see which applicants would pick it up, because they wanted that kind of team player. So pick it up. It makes a big difference. Think about all that kind of stuff. It's super helpful. Mr. Richards.
Do you know, we're talking about clothing, do you know our externships? Can we still wear our gateway clothing so we can promote the gateway?
It's not even that. Usually places that's what they're expecting you to wear, your gateway scrubs and such.
So if you work at Elements, they won't give you a uniform because you're an extern. You can still wear your...
Yeah, although, but Mr. Richards, you're kind of their employee for 2 weeks. So if they were like, "Please don't wear that, put on this shirt here," put it on. But yeah, you're going to show up in your gateway stuff.
Right, thank you.
Show up ready for lab. Thank you for asking. Miss Green.
Yeah, my question was, so what exactly should we wear?
Yeah. Something that looks presentable that you can still do a massage in. Or bring something you can quickly change in. I've had women come in like dress slacks and high heels, but they brought tennis shoes with them. Or they said, "Can I take off my high heels to do the massage? I obviously don't massage in this." And I was like, "That's fine." But I've even been told in massage interviews I was overdressed. It's just not the type of industry where they're expecting you to come in full business attire because they know you're going to do a massage.
So could we not wear our scrub pants and a polo like Sab was asking in the chat?
What do you mean, for a massage interview?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't wear your scrub pants. I'm so sorry. I would wear like casual slacks and a polo shirt, or a blouse you can massage in or something. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Don't overthink it. Something comfortable and something clean, but not a t-shirt and jeans, not shorts. That kind of stuff.
She said some khakis or something?
Yes, you could though. It's funny, but the massage industry is something when you come in and you look kind of plain and things like that, we're like, "That's our girl."
Yeah.
We're not looking, you're not an esthetician. Estheticians, you want to have full makeup on when you come in because you're selling your face. Massage therapists, we don't care. We want you to look clean and tidy and ready to do a massage.
All right, sounds good.
Yes. And Mr. Godot, I apologize. I said to wait for a second and then you took your hand. I just want to make sure that, did you want to say something, sir?
You're good. My phone keeps dropping. I'm driving, so I was just letting you know.
Good. You're good. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Miss Hendrickson.
I almost forgot. I was just gonna have this little anecdote where you're talking about the garbage on the floor. When I worked at this casino, a couple of the managers did that, where they put like this crumpled up piece of paper like in the middle of the big area where everyone walks through near the bar, and they hid behind something and waited to see who would pick it up. And they had to wait a while, but none of the employees picked it up. But somebody, just this old lady did, and she uncrumpled it and read it. It was like, "Thank you for picking me up," and she was like, "What the heck?" creeped her out. But
We did that. We did that at the Princess, not just in HR. And when you opened it up, it said, "Come collect your $100."
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you're always going to be on the lookout for trash.
That was the idea. Yes. Then you don't find it, you throw it back down. No, I'm kidding. Miss Young.
So yeah, about the like be nice to everyone thing. If someone is coming into my work and they're being either creepy or weird, or maybe they seem like kind of like a crackhead or something, and they ask for a application, I still give them an application, obviously. But whenever I see my boss, because he's in there like constantly.
Sure.
Whenever I see him, or if someone asks him for an application and I know them and they've come in there before and they've given me attitude or something, I'll like immediately tell them, because I don't want to work with those people.
No, and
So,
I bet your
like,
boss listens every time.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want bad workers either. So he's not going to waste his money on that.
Yep.
So I'll always tell him, be like, don't hire this person. They did this. Or like, even before I saw him very much, there was one dude that couldn't even spell cashier. He put cashier, and he was really creepy to me. And I like told my manager, like right afterwards, I was like, hey, there's this dude that came yesterday. He was really weird. And he's like, the dude couldn't even spell, so I already threw it away.
Yeah, by the way, whether it's fair or not, everybody, when I got applications that I did like, they could work weekends or anything like that, I'd go into the employee lounge with 20 massage therapists sitting there, and I'd be like, does anybody know Betty Lou? And somebody'd be like, oh yeah, I worked with her at such and such. What do you think? Oh, she's a piece of work. Thanks. Throw it away. Now, I don't know if they're right or not, but they've got more insight than I do at that point, right? Or somebody else would be like, oh my God, they're the best. You should hire them. Boom. So your name carries a lot of weight. Just remember that when you go to other places. Like, this is everybody knows everybody in this industry. Miss Clayton, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, one quick thing. I don't know if it's valuable, but they're going back to what we look for when we hire people.
Yeah.
We don't hire people that come in and say, "Oh, I don't do this massage, and I don't work on elderly people, and I don't do this, and I don't do that," because we have no control over who comes into our business.
Yeah.
So if you tell me you're not going to work on all these people, there's no way for me to screen those people for you.
Yeah.
So that's one other thing to be mindful of.
Yeah. Your job is to remove problems for your boss, not to add problems to your boss. Miss DeBose. Miss DeBose? You raised your hand and then you disappeared. Okay. All right, everybody, there are several types of business types. Ms. Hendrickson already kind of touched on this. If you are working for yourself, you are a sole proprietor. There is nothing wrong with just being a sole proprietor. Some of you have incorporated, done limited liability corporations and such. Some of those have some tax benefits, but they also have some tracking they have additional tracking that you have to do. So I don't think there's anything wrong with you starting out with a sole proprietorship in the beginning. I'll tell you that. Mr. Mitruk.
But all these require an EIN. You have to get a separate
Yes.
tax ID.
Yes, if you incorporate any kind, then you are kind of saying we're a separate entity doing business that happens to employ me, basically. And you have to get an employer identification number, a tax number for that business. You are 100% right. Yes. And I've got very mixed feelings about this. There are some advantages because of the stuff you can write off, but if you don't have a lot of write-offs, then I sometimes think incorporating is more trouble than it's worth if you're a sole proprietorship, if it's just you working. If you're
I think if you need a bank account in your company's name, you're going to need that EIN.
You can actually get a DBA, doing business as any type of business you want. Yeah. But I got you, yeah. Ms. Carrillo.
This is back to the employers. I forgot my question before. So when you're going to apply for a job and, we're fresh out of school, there are some places that seem to have more experiences, like, say, like fire cupping and everything. They offer that at their establishment. but you're only a massage therapist, should you still try to apply for that job, even though you can't offer all the services that they're offering?
Yes.
Since you know.
Yes.
Okay.
For lots of reasons, by the way, for lots of reasons. But for one is you should tell them I can't do that, but I'm very willing to learn.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's also lots of research out there that suggests that this is actually a major division between men and women for some reason. That women tend to not apply for jobs where they don't meet all the requirements, whereas men tend to. These are just generalizations, everybody. Men tend to apply for jobs they're not fully qualified for. But you will often get a job that you're not fully qualified for. Just go in there, tell them I'm willing to learn. I suspect Ms. Clayton has something to say about that. Please.
Oh yeah, I mean we train everybody. So you come in and we do all the training on the enhancements. We don't expect everyone to know all these things. And everything they do is generally particular to them, so they want to train you on their way of doing it. So don't worry about that at all.
Yeah. And by the way, you can even tell an employer, I want to come work for you because I'm very interested in the type of work you do. You know what I mean? I want to get trained in that. Yeah. Ms. Osuna.
Yeah, I just had a quick question for either you or Miss Clinton because she's in this business. Say that we want to work for like a specific company, but obviously they don't do like externship or something like that. Would it be not recommended to like email them or something? Be like, hey, I graduate this time. I want to be with you in the future. Like, what do you recommend? Or what are you looking for, employers and all? Like, would you rather do that or just we are actually licensed to apply?
No, Ms. Osuna, I think it's always good to reach out to businesses. I think if somebody reaches out to me and says, I'm going to school, but I've already identified that I would love to work at your place, what does that tell me as an employer? It tells me this person has thought 6 months ahead of time or 3 months ahead of time where they want to be, and they're reaching out to me already. That's the person I want to hire. That's a love letter. Man, you do it. You send them an email. You drop by. I'd love to tour the place. I'd love to, even if they blow it off at that time, they're going to remember you. You can't go wrong with that. Businesses are not exactly like people. Like, you're not going to bug them by being too clingy. We want clingy employees. Ms. Clayton?
Exactly, and I can tell you that I've hired almost every single person that has walked into our spa in person to apply for a job because it shows me they take initiative and that they care. Things have changed since I was young and went to college and got jobs, but that is so rare these days because everybody applies online. So when they take the time out to actually come into the spa and meet me or ask to speak with a manager, generally speaking, I've hired every single one of those people.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
Miss Carrillo.
Yeah, I think it also depends, like, the job, because massage is more strenuous work and, labor work. So you want to see people come in and take the initiative. But when I was working at my digital photo editing job, we preferred people to go online and be able to do the research online. So I also, I think it also just depends on that too, because if anything, my boss I think she would have been surprised, but she has a lot of stuff to do.
Sure.
So I think,
But as you said, very different industries. Yeah. Well said. General liability insurance. So if you have an establishment, you usually have general liability insurance if people slip or fall. I'm not worried about that right now. I want to comment to all of you that might be doing massage out of your house. You want to check with your homeowner's insurance because sometimes they won't cover slips and falls if it was due to a business you were running out of your home. And you might want to get your policy changed so that it will cover the 3 clients you have coming out each day in case they slip or fall. And I'm making a big deal out of this because of all the stuff that I've dealt with in the massage world, we dealt with more slips and falls than anything else. Everybody's always worried about hurting a client on the table. That was the least of our worries. It's slips and falls. And so your house right now, if I go over to Mr. Craven's house for this wild rager and I slip there, that's fine because I was there as a guest and it's a party. But if I went over there for a massage, it's possible his homeowner's insurance doesn't cover him doing business out of his house and the liability insurance for that. So he should just check and see if he can't get what's called a rider to help cover that, because that's where stuff happens. Somebody steps down a little step and hurts themselves, and that, it's not from the massage at all. Ms. Hendrickson.
Is that only possible with homeowners insurance, or can you do it through renters insurance?
I don't know, but you probably can do it with renter's insurance too. Yeah. You could probably do it with anything. The question is if it's cost effective or not. Yeah. I'm not going to get into startup costs. I think they're we've already talked about startup costs, by the way, in the sense that don't just think about your startup costs. Think that if you have overhead, if you have an establishment, that you have to think about 6 months of rent too as well. For those of you just going to people's homes, you won't have that much startup costs. You got a table, sheets, oils. What I do want you guys to think about, by the way, coming up really soon, is your first startup cost, which is $219.50. You'd be shocked at how many students ask me all these business questions, and then they graduate school and I go, okay, it's time to apply for your license. They go, well, I don't have the $219 saved up, but maybe in 6 months I'll have it. There's no way you're going to run your own business if you can't save $219 now. So make sure that you have $219.50. Even if you have to borrow it from your Uncle Larry, who you never talk to, and you pay him back 3 months later, whatever, make sure you do that, because that is your first business expense. And the longer you wait, and for my last graduating class, by the way, I have a student still waiting on their license because they applied late because they didn't have the money to get their license. Now they finally got the money, but now they're waiting even longer. And you're in a catch-22 because you can't make any money because you don't have your massage license. So $219.50. Miss Savarino, please.
Just a quick question. So like whenever we got clinics and like they were doing the tip jars and everybody was saying, so like, is any of that money gonna like get divided through the class? So like, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like, is that gonna like reduce the amount of the cost? Because like that's what they were saying it was gonna go towards, but or if that like I don't know.
No. It's a legitimate question. It's kind of your guys' money in a way, right? Although legally it can't be all that blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Yes. So what we use that money for is you guys will have to get fingerprint cards and school transcripts, and we pay for all that out of your tips.
Oh, okay.
So you're paying for the actual license, but there's other additional costs, and we will pay for those, and they're kind of automated too, so you don't have to worry about it. But anyway, so that's what we use the money for.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Miss Hendrickson, please.
You said it was a business expense. Does that mean that you can claim it as a deduction when you're filing your taxes?
You would think, but guess what? You can't claim it as a business expense until it's a business.
What about your renewal cost for renewing your license?
You can do your renewal cost and you can do your CEUs because now you're a business, and so now you can write them off. But before you've become a business, you can't really write off the cost. Yeah. And by the way, for some of you guys, if you are below 200% of the poverty level, which believe it or not is not hard to be at, you can get a very reduced license fee if you're willing to send in your taxes that prove that. So you have to have done your taxes, but we can send them in, and you can get a reduced license fee, so you might not even pay $219.50. You might pay more like $30. So that is an option too. Please use that option. That's fine with us. I don't know why it wouldn't be fine with us, but I meant like use that option if you're below 200% of the poverty level. And just to give you an idea, I had a student that was living fairly nicely, but she had 6 kids. And so her household was her and her husband and 6 kids. Well, that's 8 people. The poverty level of 200% for 8 people is pretty high. So they still came under that, and she got a reduced license. So it's not the same amount. It depends on how many people are living off your income, if that makes sense. How many people are on your taxes? Mr. Godot.
All right, so you said the reduced light. Well, can you explain? I was listening, but I would kind of like miss the part of what you said.
So the state board has a reduced rate for people that earn less than 200% of the poverty level. And I'm looking up right now. wait 1 second. And I'll explain here. I'll give you an actual. Okay. So, sir, I don't need to know the amounts, but did you file your own taxes last year?
Yeah.
Okay. You're the only person on your taxes? You don't have any dependents or anything?
No.
Okay. So, sir, and again, we don't need to know this, but if on those taxes you made less than $25,000, then you could get a very cheap license. You could get a license for about $30 if you made less than $25,000 last year. But what I was trying to tell people too is let's suppose you have a family and you've got a husband or a wife and you've got 4 kids. Well, believe it or not, you would have had to make less than $70,000 last year. That's quite a bit of money, but you've got all these kids and stuff, so 200% of poverty level for you is $70,000. But unfortunately, sir, if it's just you, you had to make less than 25 grand last year. But if you did, save those taxes, we'll scan them in and we'll use it when we apply for your license, and you'll get a license for about $30.
Okay, cool. I don't know if that's the case. I gotta look at my taxes.
Yeah, go look at your taxes and check it out. We'll see.
And then I have one more question because she was asking about if you could write it off for like tax purposes. So I know some people, they're not like, it's not. You said if it has to be a business, so I know we aren't licensed yet, but I know some people have already like got their LLCs. So would they be able to write that off?
No, because they're not supposed to be getting paid for massage yet.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Everson.
Are they going off the taxes of the 2020, or are we going to need to file our taxes because I think they're doing April, and go off those ones?
It's a really good question. Let's see. If we apply before they're due, you could do 2020. And I'm just seeing when you officially graduate. So.
April 20.
So yeah, I think you could use 2020 instead of 2021. Because 2021 won't be due yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was just wondering if I needed to get my taxes done early.
No.
Due date.
No. If they're not due yet, you can use the ones from the year before. Yeah. And the only thing I would tell you is if you're poor, like if it doesn't work from 2020 and you're going to be poor in 2021, then it might be to your benefit to file taxes early and use that one, right? But you're not required. You're in a good place. You can use them probably from either year. Mr. Godot, your hand's raised.
All right, it was just still raised, but I do have another question.
Yes, sir.
It's related to massage, but not really. I need to send my official transcripts. I have to pay for that apparently. But I tried to do it online and I couldn't figure it out. So is there somebody I could talk to at Gateway's campus to get it like sent?
Yeah. So I'll look into that for you.
Cause I'd rather just pay cash over there. I don't know. I can't figure it out with my card and all that.
I think it's only like $5, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's not expensive.
Yeah. All right, sir.
They just wouldn't accept my debit card.
Oh, it would. I was going to say, because I think it'll let you do it online, but it wouldn't accept your debit card. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I suspect what you have to do is go into a cash office, which we have at the main campus at Washington. And I bet you Mr. Barr can find out where that cash office is for you, and you go in there and you pay for it there. Tell them I want official school transcripts. They're going to be like, pay for them here, fill out this form, and you can do it in person there.
Okay. They also asked for official student schedule, and I sent them my screenshot of my my Maricopa, but they're not accepting it. They don't. I don't know. I don't know what to send them. I can send you what they asked me for. It's just for a grant, but I just don't know what information I have to get to.
Okay. And maybe we can. Yeah.
Do you want me to forward you the email or screenshot it? Or?
Yeah. Forward me the email.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. I like it. Thank you. Miss Hendrickson.
So specifically about the taxes, do you just have to submit like, this is my tax return, like to you, like with the other papers to the school to apply for that? Is that how you do that?
It's not even the school. We're going to upload them in your electronic online application, Massage Board.
So we don't have to.
The school doesn't care. You're not getting a reduced rate from us. I just often have students.
Right.
I just often have students send them to me because they want help with their application or whatever. But no, we're going to actually do a class where you guys, along with me, are going to apply for your licenses live if you're ready. Some of you will not be ready or whatever, but we'll actually do it. And if you have them ready and we've scanned them in already and you have it in file on your computer, there's going to become this place where it's going to say on the application, do you want a reduced thing? Then upload your taxes here. And you're going to upload those tax forms.
Do you know when that class is going to be?
Yeah, it's
near the end.
Yes, it's one of the last 2 days of class.
Okay. So as long as we have our tax return document like in our computer, then we can upload it during that time to do it.
Yep. And if you don't, bring it to me and we'll scan it in to the system.
Okay,
if you don't have a scanner and you only have papers, then yes. A lot of people already have an electronic copy, but yes.
Okay, great, thanks.
Mr. Singletary.
A couple of questions.
Yeah.
I already have my LLC and my tax EIN number already.
Good.
And I've already started making purchases to start up the business. Can I use, even though I won't actually start the business until after I get my license, the costs that I incurred already, can I write that off?
I don't know.
That's what I was wondering.
I don't know. In the past I would have said no, but now I'm kind of wondering if you could because it's under the LLC. I don't know. You're going to have to find that one out for yourself. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
It's kind of late.
Another question about the background checks. I think Savarino asked that a while back about, because she already has it done. I've had my background checks done because the company that I work for. Does that count, or do we have to do it all over again?
No, but we're actually trying. I don't mean we. They're actually getting ready to propose a law that will allow you to do that, but it hasn't even been put forward. But right now, unfortunately, even though you have a better background check than the one that's going to be done, you will have to submit a fingerprint card, not a clearance card, which you already have, and you'll have to have a new background check done.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Ms. Everson?
Yeah, so I just got a couple of questions coming down to the end. Let's see if I can't remember them all. If I'm planning on working for myself, do you recommend doing a 1099 and doing like that, or going through getting an LLC?
I recommend in the beginning you just go by yourself. I think, especially knowing you, Miss Everson, I don't mean it like you can't handle it. I don't mean it like that at all. I mean, it's just easier. It's not a big deal. And unless you think you want to track all your mileage and all your expense, I just don't think it's going to be that big a deal. Get a separate bank account, but just file it on your regular taxes. There's a way to do a Schedule C, which is kind of your own self-employed business, and it's very simple. And later, if you decide you want a limited liability corporation, you can do that.
Okay. And then I'm kind of a wanderer or whatever. So when it comes to resumes, if I'm doing massages still as an independent contractor, do I just, when I go out of town for like 2 months, would I put that on there as well, saying that I'm still like an independent contractor? But if it shows like in my history that I worked somewhere for 8 months, dropped off for 2, and then worked somewhere for another 8 months, do I put those on there as well, or
I would
as
show,
well as my?
I would show that you're always an independent contractor. Like, you might be working in those other places, but try to show no downtime in your resume. So in the times that there's those gaps, be like, I was just working for myself. We're used to seeing that with massage therapists.
Okay.
Cool.
I think that was it.
Cool. 1 second, Mr. Richards, in case we get cut short here, everybody, because I'm about to release your homework too, but I want to make a point because this will catch you all. If you are self-employed, you have to pay your side of Social Security. and you usually have to make quarterly tax payments or you will get a fine. You won't go to jail, you're not committing an illegal act, but you will get a fine at the end of the year. And this will happen to all of you. So what happens is employers pay your taxes as they go and you guys get a refund at the end of the year. If you're your own employer, you have to pay your taxes as you go. So there are many ways to do this. If you work for another company, you can just have them take out more taxes. That'll cover you. But if you come up short at the end of the year and you haven't made quarterly payments, they will charge you a fine and you're going to owe, another $500 because you didn't make quarterly payments. So I highly recommend you look at some quarterly payment calculator and guesstimate what you need to pay. And most likely you're going to send the IRS like a $250 check every 3 months, but it will save you a lot of money in the long run. So I just want to make sure I got to that. Mr. Richards, please.
So the transcript, like Mr. Godot was talking about, the transcript, do we all have to go and pay $5 and get them, or is that just for...
Well, yes and no. Yes, you would all have to, but we're taking that out of your tip money and I'm going to process it for you. So he's doing it for something completely different, so he's got to kind of do it on his own. But I'm going to get all of your transcripts sent to the state board for you and pay for them out of the money that's not your tip money, out of the money that was donated to your student account for massage. So
the only thing we need to do is the massage license. Is there anything else that we need to, account for?
No, there really isn't.
Just the $219.50.
Yep, that's it. $219.50, and everything else will be taken care of. We'll take care of. You'll have to go get a fingerprint card, but we'll pay for it and give you something to pay for it with. We'll take care of the transcripts. We'll tell you how to apply and actually walk you through it. If any of you need extra help, I'll actually sit down with you and do it with you. But it's very easy peasy, and we've done it a lot.
The fingerprint card, you give us the money to go and do it, or does someone come to Gateway and we all just meet there and do it?
In the past, we've given you a voucher to go do it because they have them all over the valley, and sometimes it's actually easier for you to go to one of the various locations because they've got like 20. We can look into somebody coming. Mr. Barr has actually suggested that on many occasions. But one way or the other, yes, you'll get your fingerprint card.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll take care of it. And it is 11 o'clock. I'm going to release homework. I am going to stay on for people that still have questions because I care. You have 2 pieces of homework. You have a quiz on business, and you have a video on the extensors of the foot. A video on the extensors of the foot, which, if you think about it, they should all be located on the top and the top of the foot and the front of the leg, right? Because they're extensors. So we are now looking at extensors of the foot and a test on the video. So 2 homework assignments. All right, and I'm just releasing those right now for anybody who cares. I realize there's no time to work on them now. I'm sorry. And bam. Okay. And I'm staying on for anybody else who has questions. I'll call on you right now. Miss Young, talk to me.